Welcome to the Back from the Rabbit Hole series. There are way too many points to make to pull this all together in one setting. The scope is massive. There is literally the complete takeover of the human being. I have pulled information from decades of rabbit holes and conspiracy facts. I have been told if I had a checklist of things I predicted that came true, I would have a full board of checks at this point. I have been dropping tidbits of what I have learned throughout the years in my music and conversations with people. I have kept it to a minimal to keep myself from being too crazy sounding. When you get to the point where I am at now, it's a clear danger to speak. Not a quick process. We are dealing with a slow and precise, otherwise we would be all up in arms instantly. However, it is being accelerated, mostly due to the ability for them to, because of our present state as humans, but we will get there later. There are many credible researchers and scientists and doctors whom understand, and I thank you. I've been listening and taking notes. I was tasked by our Creator to start letting it out. So here we go. There are several factors you have to take into consideration, all of which have been separated, just like they always do. It's the division and tribalism that keeps them in the driver's seat. The macrocosm doesn't allow for this to be an option. So here are some examples to kind of lay the foundation for what is going on. First and foremost, everything is a lie. And I mean everything. This plan, as most things, started as a good intent. They put some smart people in the background to kind of shape our future after the ancient reset. Not the first time at this point of development. So, the system failed the first time. In the times of the pyramids, they completely reset humanity. They had been dumbed down and given technology, vast resources, and wealth. It came crashing down. I'm not sure how they reset it. If it was a natural or a man-made, answers are probably in the Vatican, and set out to reshape humanity again. The plan was to go back to the same point and excel. Back then, we had guidance from our interstellar and interdimensional friends. Well, as it turned out, we didn't do well after the reset. But the reason wasn't it was manipulation. It was the wise men discovered that they could have all of this to themselves if they use humans as weapons. So they convinced us that all of the beings that were here helping us, living with us, cohabitating with us, were monsters, and that we must kill them in order to take the planet over. It could not be shared with other sentient beings. So those who didn't escape the planet were eradicated and labeled monsters, demons, or beasts. So now the newly corrupted had taken out their competition, and with that, realized that they could do anything at that point. Humans just kind of existed and lived off the land. There was not much need for governance, however, that had to change. So our newly corrupted wise men needed a plan. They began to create towns where the people could trade again. Remember, they were around before and knew how all this would work. So now people were trading among each other. Slowly they introduced currency to make trading easier for the people. And remember, they were working this on a global scale. Every country was led by the same group hanging in the background. They communicated and ensured that it was all working towards the same goal. From time to time, they would be reminded by the other beings of how this plan was immoral by natural laws, and those who opposed would be demonized and removed. There were protests and race wars, which included far more races than we have today. Remember, all art has roots in truth, and we have seen the art. Think about it. Fast forward a bit. Humans and low operating animals were the primary inhabitants of this planet now. Towns and cities doing well, money is flowing nicely, so they decided to try governance. With all these people in one place interacting and dealing with things themselves, how can they possibly be able to do that? So, the wise men, who could not be seen placed their closest friends in places of power, reminding them who put them there and controlling their every move. So now these people needed to live, so they began to take ownership of the land, charging the townsfolk to use it. This was needed, and it was great for a while, until greed did what greed does. So the kings of the land wanted more land. However, they needed a reason. Well, they eradicated several sentient beings from the lands before turning the humans against them. So how do they turn the humans against each other? Religion. So the worldwide rulers crafted multiple religions across the planet based off the same principles, and with the different languages and the inability to understand each other, well, it was perfect. But it would take some time to get deep enough into their consciousness, and based off the previous practices of the tribute to the helpers from afar and the different races, they crafted many stories, and it worked. So they were able to start using that as a catalyst to put humans against each other, to take land and resources, and that was fun, preparing the people for fights, taking land, controlling money, building bigger towns, more income, more work for the people. Now even the humans dehumanized each other. It was perfect. So the time passed, rulers behind the kings grew old and died and were replaced, new ideas were implemented, and new ways to manipulate the humans. The centuries had passed, and the enlightened ones had steered far from the original path. They had manipulated the laws they were given, and the greed and corruption had taken over them. Humans were wise and clever, and had built impressive infrastructure at this point, and the technology was almost back to where it was. There was word that some of the otherworldly had been visiting again and shaping the society a bit. This annoyed the kings, but the benefits were plentiful. They just took more from the people, keeping them busy and in stasis to enjoy all that they created. This worked great for a while. We advanced quickly. Problem was that people were becoming wise and figuring out what was going on. The Illuminates knew that this would be an issue, so they had to craft a plan to circumvent this inevitable problem. They told stories about their plans, the whole construct of the past, so they could either paint it how they wanted or discredit any opposition. This tactic was brilliant. Now they had an unlimited pool of finely crafted information to use to shape reality to their will. Around the same time, they realized that technology was moving so quickly, they had to rope that in as well. They knew from the past that an easy flow of information would cause the humans to understand the truth and start questioning things, as clever as humans are, and they knew that. So they slowed the flow of technology, making a few big wars to keep the humans distracted, the whole time keeping the leash tight but still letting some through. The basic rule is, as I've been told by people who know things, any technology that we see is between 50 to 100 years old already. I would like to stop for a second and explain that there are holes in my story and I am only painting the picture. I don't even know if what I have found is true or not. Also, I could write libraries of information about my research. This is just to lay the groundwork for you to see for yourself. There are many variables in each topic by design. This is mostly just a warning to people to realize that if this is true, we are at a turning point. Also, it is too close to true. I will either be painted as a crazy person and removed, or other. So if you are this far, thank you so much. I do this because I want my children to grow old in a utopia, not a dystopia, as I am hopeful that you feel the same. We all were here before, and no one knows exactly what happened. We went from an advanced society to nomads. We had unbelievable technology and then somehow lost it all. I have been intrigued by this since I was young, and I think the only way to truly know is to remove the gatekeepers of the information, restore peace and unity, and then rise above the shadow we have been covered in for thousands of years. I have researched as much as I could between working to provide for myself the privilege of food and shelter. I have spoken to the wisest people I have listened to and witnessed as much as I could. I have been quiet as I gathered information, but I feel I can't be quiet anymore. I have endured hell for what little I have shared. I have heard all of your voices. I am just like you. I am tired of this game. The game no one can win. I want to show the truth to all, peel back the veil and expose the wizard. We are all capable of greatness. We are only in the state we are in because of them. Why? Because we didn't know. It's not our fault we are gaslighted by narcissists going back thousands of years. Just think of how it would be if they had not manipulated our entire history. I would love to sit down with the other beings that used to be our friends, apologize for the actions of the few. Why did this need to be done, is my question. What would they say? Are they all bad? Or are they upset that we, who were once their friends, turned on them? How do you feel when your friends turn on you? Now multiply that to entire species. And not just a race or religion, entire species of sentient beings. Are these enlightened ones? And how do they get to choose our fate? Walk with me as I try to help us unpack this mess we are forced to exist within. Help me help all of us. Share your truth. Talk to me. Help me understand. I have known I needed to do this for a while. I was just afraid. The outcome of me speaking could result in my death. It has happened to many before. The more we try to speak now, the more we are silenced. And this is a problem. The real problem, though, is that we are having the wrong conversations. Our reality and sovereignty is being destroyed at an alarming rate. We could have it all, or just be reduced back to nomads again. I am willing to take the task of representing us as a species and try to repair that has been destroyed. I will need help and support, though. I need you to share my message and rally behind me. We would be able to be happy. Most people are only upset and angry because they are incapable of living the life that they want, most often unaware that it is even what they are upset about. I truly don't think anyone wants total destruction, but no one has ever stepped in and tried willingly to change anything. Well, let me in and let me be the first. Jesus was a man who tried, and he was crucified because he only had a few people standing with him. Bob Marley tried and only had one culture backing him. With the technology we have now, we could have millions and millions of people and back them from all aspects. Maybe this is how it was supposed to happen. Perhaps the great circle that cannot be broken, and I hope not, but I may be wrong. Why did the educated never end up in the driver's seat? I understand power corrupts, and you can fight that by handing other wise people around you to keep you in check. I would be happy to start working on reversing the catastrophe we have around us, but without your proper support, I would just fade into the background like so many before me. We can't be afraid to speak. The future of our children is a hill I will gladly die on, figuratively and literally. One thing I have learned is we all have the same complaints, no matter what background we have. We just don't know how or who to blame, or who can fix it. Well, it's on all of our shoulders. It will take some time and effort, and I believe it can be done with ourselves governing ourselves and taking control of ourselves back. I can guide you to the world we should have, but we have to create it together. Lots of people. We have amazing ideas that never get heard. We have the technology to change that. Let's do it. That was a note that I wrote to myself at 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up in the middle of the night and was just like, I need to write this, so I did. And there it is. I'll try to edit it and make it sound nice, but that was that. So here's a couple of ideas, just so you get the gist of what I'm talking about. Start small businesses and shop at them. The pandemic destroyed the small business infrastructure. Remember that the giant corporate businesses that are in bed with the illuminated ones, and if you keep putting your money in their pockets, it does not help us at all. Sure, it's nice having the things you want at your fingertips and delivered to your door. However, one small business employs at least one family, sometimes lots of people. We want to keep our ability to exist. We need to do things ourselves. Also, take the internet seriously. Treat people online the same as you would in the street. The constant trolling and arguing makes us look like we can't handle it ourselves. This is why they are clamping down on us. We all have to realize we are individuals and no two people share the same views at all. There are a lot of us on this planet and we need to respect that. Everything is a choice, and we as individuals should have no jurisdiction over the choices of others. If we do not like something, it is our choice. We have no right to impose our beliefs on others. That is partially why we are here in the first place. It's really simple. If you do not agree, don't engage. Also, let people be happy. People find happiness in countless ways. I would be willing to bet that if people found happiness, life would be it would positively affect all of society as a whole quite quickly. We are restricted on so many levels just to live. It is no wonder people are angry, aggressive, and all those kind of things. Encouragement and understanding do go a long way. There would be less violence if people were content. We have been groomed to believe that we must fight for everything, so we fight. If we were working together, we wouldn't be fighting. Look at the togetherness during a crisis. Try that without one. Also, vote with your money. We don't need an elaborate governmental structure to spend our time coupons for us. We know what we need and we want, like and dislike. Spending your money where you deem necessary says all that you need to say. You want something done? Organize it. Make it happen. You dislike something? Don't buy it. It's quite simple. Each town could, for example, have a website where you could look to see what things need to be done and donate to specific things you would like to see happen. Or you say you don't like a restaurant, don't eat there. With this, people will know what is preferred and adjust accordingly. The quality of things would improve quickly, and that way, as opposed to the current deal with our structure, if you know how poorly they think of us, I assure you would be furious. We are talked about like a bunch of wild animals, and yet we are treated as such. And there lies the issue. We are made to fight each other over scraps, taught to hate each other and every other species, beaten and killed if we do wrong. It's truly disturbing. I have been in the presence of what would be classified as the worst kind of people, and they were amazing. And I have been around the most respected, whom were terrible people. It has always been this way, or so history shows. I learned that most people often only do bad things because they have no choice. A man will rob another man to feed his family, while another man robs all men just because he can. Let us work together and set aside the differences, respect and understand each other, rise above, flourish. Look where we are at this point. Can we really dive any lower? We are aggressive, unhappy, over-medicated, demoralized, divided, sad creatures with such potential. I realize many will laugh at my optimistic ideas here, and I expect that. But as you do look around, and if you've made it this far, thank you very much. Observe the world we live in and ask yourself, is this really how it should be? And how did we get to this point? Sure, change is uncomfortable for anyone. We all understand that. But are we at a point where it is necessary for our survival? They have already said, we will own nothing and be happy. Do you think they were just kidding? There is a great reset coming. Is it going to be theirs or ours? Thank you.